Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today? Where we'll be relaxing as per usual. It is the weekend. Everybody get down. Wait, hold on. What? This doesn't sound right. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've said this entirely, completely, and wrong. Yeah. So, what are we going to talk about today? That's a good question. I don't, again, have something prepared for you. I was just recording some episodes today. Right now, I am basically just kind of doing some Neopet stuff on the other screen, but I'm not going to do the rest of it because some of it will make noise, I guess, which is probably a little bit disturbing. But hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 4:37 p.m. on Saturday, March 9th, 2024. Well, really, it's just one thing. It's just the Bright Veil, whatchamacallit, Wheel of Knowledge, which for some reason makes noise. I think I can mute it though. Yeah, I can mute it. Okay, never mind. Well, what do I know? It's another lovely Saturday, and KK Slider is performing in the slide. Oh, it doesn't say even say Slider. Yeah, what should we talk about today? I don't really know. Nothing is either burning conversations to talk about or something. We're getting towards the end, I suppose, of the League of Legends Battle Pass or that sort of thing. You might be like, hey dear darling, how close are you to reaching your goal of getting Prestige Porcelain Kindred? I'm actually very close now. You need 2,200 tokens for her skin because it's one of the mythic shop skins or whatever, and I'm on 2020 I think tokens. I think I had to buy some tokens in the end because, you know, it's sort of like you pick and choose your battles, and I'm not gonna necessarily grind out the hours of gameplay it needs to get all 200 tokens, or maybe I am, I suppose, if I feel up for it or something like that. But the fact I even made it to 2000 is incredible in of itself. You know, shout out to one of my friends who played a lot of ARAMs with me on that one day. That certainly did help. But yeah, it's that's happening, I suppose. What else should we talk about conversationally? That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like things have been very standard. It's like a rather chill weekend. Nothing particularly crazy happening. But there will be stuff, not crazy stuff happening, but there will be stuff happening, I think, in future weekends, of course, but nothing today nor tomorrow, which is good, you know. We like to have a quiet weekend every now and then, you know. It's always nice to have a time where you can just be like, right, this is it, this is chill, relaxing. I can take some time to play some of my other games as well. Do some other stuff. I should definitely get started, I think, on doing some D&D stuff, because last weekend I did not do as much as I definitely should have, so you can just hear the Neopets game in the background. Those astute among you can know exactly which game I'm playing. I'm just doing it for the daily quest, I'm going to be perfectly honest, not to make any money. Time for takeoff. Yeah, annoyingly, one of the quests every single time is customize your Neopet, which is really annoying because I'm like, you want me to just customize one thing about my Neopet every single time, which is exactly what I'm doing, but still. It just takes time, you know. What is it inside the hub? I have no idea what this is. Sure, save it. Just changing one of my characters' backgrounds, my Neopet's backgrounds. Yeah, what was I saying about this? I don't remember anymore. Just claiming our reward, claiming an Orn Codestone. It's cool how codestones are part of a daily quest, to be honest. There's something which is super in high demand. Is that the weekly quest, Dan? Pastel paintbrush is all mine. Claim. Back to quests. I did it. And then tomorrow, you know, I can let them re-roll again until I see an actual quest which I want to fulfill again. Quick stock, just deposit all of these, I suppose, until I don't need to. Back and go to the closet. Back and go to the closet. Seems good. Yeah, what was I going to say about this? Yeah, it's nice to have a chill time, I suppose, to be perfectly honest, but it's difficult because it's like, now, what am I going to talk about? I don't know, Arshas games. What's going on in the gamosphere today? Let's see. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. They've added a feature that allows users all over the world to enjoy the Japanese verses. Cool. I forgot Lollipop Chainsaw's being redone. You might be like, what's Lollipop Chainsaw? It's a game where you play as a cheerleader and her boyfriend's disembodied head. Or so I can't remember what the actual plot was anymore, to be honest, but it was a zombie invasion. You know, when zombies were super popular, it was one of those hack and slash beat 'em up action adventure sort of games where you play as a cheerleader with a chainsaw, and she's really good at using the chainsaw is all I remember. I didn't even realize it was a Japanese game, but you know, thinking back, it's 100% makes sense. All I remember is Tara Strong voices the main person. Lollipop Chainsaw. And was it that like every boss was based on like a music genre, or am I making that up entirely? I don't not think it was a Japanese game. I'm looking at it now. It's like it's 100%. It like reminds me of like Dead or Alive or something. That game, which weirdly enough was a game I've played before. You know, when I was much younger. And you might be like, "What are you talking about?" I don't know. It was like, I think it might have been at like one of my aunt's house or something in China. She had like an Xbox and she just had like a load of, I don't know if they were legitimate games or pirated games or whatever. I'm not going to, you know, point fingers or anything like that. I assume they must have been some sort of perhaps illicit means of acquiring them, because I remember just selecting them from a list rather than like putting the CD in or anything like that. And one of them I now know in retrospect was Dead or Alive. You might be like, what's that game? It's basically like a super horny game from what I remember. There's like a battle mode in it, and there's also like this beach simulation section, which I didn't really understand, like how to play it, but my sister played it. is all I distinctly remember about it. And I remember I wanted to play it at one point as well, but I just straight up did not understand what was going on in it. How old was I, you might ask? I don't know, 4? Maybe a bit older than that, I don't remember. Weird, huh? Completely forgot about that. It was also like when we played that game which I was discussing like 2 weeks ago or something, where I couldn't remember its name, and now I still can't remember its name anymore, but with a monkey and a ninja and rescuing a princess or something. Anyway, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, that was what I was going to look up. I remember seeing the trailer about it and the fact that it exists. Oh, I remember it being announced. Well, you know, wild. It's a time for reboots and time for things to be coming back. Okay. Mechs have been added to Helldivers too. Oh, you know what I can talk about today? This is so stupid. I can't believe I completely forgot about this 7 minutes ago. Okay. To give you some TLDR, I suppose, behind it is normally when we play ARAMs, it's something we play late at night. And at some point, I just started just being incredibly weird during the ARAMs. Well, not really much apparent reason, just for like, you know, ARAMs are kind of chill and relaxed and that sort of thing, but I like talking, I suppose, more than actually like playing the ARAM a lot of the time. Well, that's not necessarily true. I do like playing the ARAMs as well. I like the fact it's a combination of like sort of light tea time chatter while playing the game at the same time. And I don't remember why. I don't know if this is the first time I do it, but it's the first time I remember doing it necessarily, was I just decided to go into full like improv skip mode in one of the ARAMs. The entire premise was, for some reason, I don't remember why, I started doing like imitating Morty from Rick and Morty, but not very well, but just like that sort of like, oh gosh voice, where I was pretending I was a character and he was like on an archaeological site, excavation site, and I just kept roping random people in to be like, oh, you must be the XYZ person helping me on the trip or something. I don't remember. It was stupid, it was silly, it was fun, you know, the kind of fun you have with friends, of course, and jokey here and there. But now I've sort of like taken it up on a mantle just to be as strange as possible during the ARAMs, you know, whether it would be like improv random skits or something like that, or it just asks random questions. And so there's a lot of times where I just like start a sentence, you know, my friends know, I'd be like, hey, insert friend here, John Doe, what do you think about whatever? And that's just like, obviously my friends know, like, okay, dear darling is making up a sentence on the spot. But one of them I did was like, it started as a question, and would you prefer to eat a donut or a bagel? And then it sort of like kept iterating upon that. And then it ended up at this like weirdly philosophical one, where I was like, imagine you have a choice of 2 donuts before you. The first one, you eat it, and that the donut will make you the happiest you will ever be in your entire life for a full 5 minutes, and then it's done, and then it will stop. It's not like a retroactive thing, or, well, no, it is like a retroactive thing, and it is like a omniscient donut in that sense. So like whatever the happiest moment in your life, whatever it will be in your life from this point onwards, the donut will make you like plus one happier than that. You know, plus 1% happier, maybe not 0.1% happier than that. So, you know, it basically is effectively, it will make you equivalently happy to the happiest moment you'll ever have in your life for 5 minutes, and then it's done. And then you have another donut, which will do exactly the same thing, but for the saddest emotion you'll ever feel in your life for 5 minutes, and then it's done. And then I asked a question, and I was like, which of these would you rather eat? And in my mind, I thought it was like, oh, it's a bit of a stupid one, to be honest. Like, I'm not really sure if it feels like, Not that it's a very like straightforward answer, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, it's not even a difficult choice. Of course, I would eat the sad donut. But then it was like an interesting discussion was born from it, and I feel like most of my friends would end up eating the happy donut. And I was at first I was just like, why? But now I understand it like more, because I'm sure they would be like, why would you eat the sad donut? Because I think the way my friend, like paraphrasing how she put it, but basically she was like, I'm going to have like lots of happy moments in my life, and happy moments I've already had, I don't look back with like disdain or anything that I'm like, oh, I'm sad that it's gone. I look, you know, like she used the example of like, oh, we had like a really nice meal when we were on holiday together. It's like one of the best meals I've ever had. I don't look back at that moment and be like, oh, I'm sad that meal's gone. I look back and be like, wow, that was a really good meal. So she would eat a happy donut, because then she'll always look back and be like, wow, that was like a really good donut. And that sort of thing. The counter argument, I suppose, to that is like, which another friend brought up, and they were just like, oh, you know, it'd be a shame to have like your happiest moment, like you get married or something, you fall in love, you get like, you achieve your dreams, the greatest thing which ever happens to you, but it's all overshadowed by the fact that it's not as good as a donut you ate one time. Kind of feels like a sort of sucks out the meaning, I suppose, behind those happy moments in your life, which I totally understand as well. And at least my perspective of it was sort of like, I don't want a fleeting happiness from this donut for 5 minutes. What I'm more curious about would be like, what will be the saddest I will ever feel in life? And I would be like, it's sort of like a mental preparation for it. Where in my opinion, if I can handle those 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, then I can be more prepared the next time when it comes around. The saddest moment in my life, I assume it's going to be like a loss of a loved one or something like that, or something absolutely heart-shattering happens to me. Then it's going to be like, okay, well, I've had a donut, I know what it's going to feel like, you know. I guess I would go into it with preparation, being like, okay, I know I'm going to feel the saddest thing ever, let's, you know, make some associations with it which I can like pull myself out of the sad moment when it actually happens in the future, or something like that, you know. Hold on a minute, this is definitely a sit down sort of conversation topic. I can't believe I forgot about the happiness and sadness donut. it was such like a pivotal force, I suppose, in the conversations last night. But yeah, so that's my justifications. Like, I want to know what the saddest I'll ever be is, so I can sort of like not account for it, so I can understand it, I suppose, in the moment. I can like break down those emotions, I can break down how it feels prior to it happening, so then I guess it won't feel as bad when it comes to it, which I guess feels inherently paradoxical, but maybe the donut is self-correcting for that, I don't know. Well, the donut's omniscient, so I'm going to assume it is self-correcting for that. I guess part of me, like part of the fear I have from it, is me eating the happiness donut and being like, oh, this is like so awesome, this is amazing, but it's not enough, you know, that sort of thing. I would hate to eat that donut and feel like, oh, that's it, that's the happiest I'll ever be, or something like that. I don't mean that in a sense that like my life is devoid of happiness. My life is full of happy and sad moments, as most lives are, but I don't want it to be that ephemeral fleeting feeling of those 5 minutes, and I don't want it to fade and then me to feel disappointed that it's happened, I suppose. Not because I'm like, oh, that's a really good donut, but I'm like, that's a peak, I guess, because in my mind I built up my happiest moment as something unreachable, inconceivable, or something. And then when it happens, it will just happen, and it will just fill me with like this elation. But I feel like by having a donut expose me to it earlier, like the happiness donut exposed me to it earlier, it sort of like takes the wind out of the sails. Now, rather than it being like a spontaneous thing where I feel it and I'm just like, this must be my happiest moment, it's like, this now calculatively is my happiest moment. That's it. And it's sort of like, it feels like it undermines it in a sense. It like not ruins, well, I guess it does kind of ruins the surprise of it. It ruins the feeling of it, because I'm like, now I felt it once, you know. I felt that high. I feel like inherently it can't feel the same, even though it must do by the definition of like my premise. It feels like it's sort of like ruined it a little bit, you know. And if anything, I would rather have the sad emotion be ruined. Even it's only 5 minutes of sadness, I suppose. But I think it's an interesting thing, because I thought it was a more cut and dry than it necessarily was, but I think it's just like an interesting concept, I suppose, because I think it's one way you could very easily see both sides of the argument, but it's also the sort of thing that you can understand and see both sides of the argument, but you at the same time, it's so personal to what you want to have and what to experience that the other side feels like it's ridiculous at the same time, you know. Like, I can totally understand all the points for eating the happiness donut, but at the same time, I'm just like, I would never eat a happiness donut. It just like is inconceivable to me to even consider eating it. I guess, which is weird because it must be the same on the flip side as well. You know, just be like, okay, I can understand your justification for eating the saddest donut, but at the same time, why would you do that? Maybe it's not, you know, I have a very small sample size. Like, it was like the 4 friends I was talking with yesterday playing at ARAMs. That's a discussion we had, and then I played some more ARAMs and I just like asked it in the all chat, although I realize now in retrospect I didn't phrase it very well, because I missed out the part where the emotions are temporary. Because I remember I asked him and someone on the other team was like, how's that even a choice? Which I was like, oh yeah, cool, you know, this is sort of like exactly what I was thinking. But now I realize that well, they probably didn't think it was a choice because I didn't actually specify that the emotions run out after 5 minutes. I don't know. I mean, the core of the concept is, would you rather have a taste of what the happiest you'll ever be or the saddest you'll ever be? And I guess inherently to me, I'd rather know what the lower bound is of my emotions rather than the upper bound. I guess because maybe in some sort of selfish way, I'll look at the upper bound and be like, oh, I wish it could be higher, that sort of thing. I'd be disappointed. But now, because it's an unknown thing, I'm like, it could be as high and as low as I conceive of. If you like ask me to give an empirical statistic, like if we can empirically enumerate happiness, if you ask me to give you an actual value of what I think my peak happiness is, I'm like going to scale from like 0 to infinity, and I gave you an answer like 360 for example. If I ate the happiness donut and it turns out my actual happiness maximum was like 400, but for some reason, paradoxically, I feel like I would still be disappointed in that, because I'm just like, oh, you know, I guess I kind of wished it could be more and that sort of thing. But strangely, if I didn't know what the maximum, if I never eat the happiness donut and I never know what it actually feels like, and if it turns out my actual maximum is like 300 or something, for some reason that feels better, because I suppose in that moment, 1, I'm feeling happy, and 2, I never know if that's a maximum or not. I probably like don't have a quantification of what that happiness is in my mind. It doesn't feel like it's a maximum. I suppose by keeping that hope open, it feels better personally for me. But for the sadness is something I want a bottom value for, you know? I guess because, you know, like if something really, when that really sad moment happens, I'd be like, well, it's never going to get worse than this. That sort of situation. And if something sad happens which doesn't reach that maximum, I'm like, it could always be worse, I guess. I don't know. The happiness donut and the sadness donut. Maybe it's not as interesting a philosophical debate as I think it is, because there's a decent chance that it's just like, oh, there's actually like no question about this. Most people would just like 96% of people choose a happiness donut and 4% choose a sadness donut. I'm like, okay, that's not quite the 50-50 split I was thinking. But I don't know. I guess it's just more interesting to me than probably, because I assume most people would eat the happiness donut. It feels like I can logically reason it out better than the sadness one, but I just know that it would be the wrong choice for me, you know? So I guess it's kind of more interesting to me because I think I am in the minority of what the selections are. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what would you do? Would you eat a happiness donut? Would you eat a sad donut? If you didn't understand the question is, before you, there are 2 donuts. One donut, both these donuts will make you feel the most extreme emotion you've ever felt in your life for 5 minutes. And it's omnipotent, so it will know automatically. There's no sort of recursive paradox here. It will definitively be either the most happy moment or the most sad you've ever felt you will ever feel and have ever felt in your life for 5 minutes, and then it stops. So which one would you eat? Would you eat the one which makes you the happiest you've ever felt or will feel, or the saddest you ever felt or will feel for 5 minutes? I don't know. Well, no, I don't know. My prediction is you'll eat the happiness donut. But I also think it's fair for you to eat the sadness donut. I think there's positives and negatives to both sides, and it kind of depends on your worldview, your perspective of things. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, happiness donut, sadness donut. That's what I'm going to round today's episode off. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.